This book is so weird.
Hey everyone, it's Fionn and welcome back to my channel, Crystal Eva Chanel. So yesterday I posted a question box on my Instagram story saying pick a number 1 to 64, which is the current length of my physical TBR, and tell me a reason why I should read that book, but without knowing what the book actually is. And at first I was a little bit worried no one was going to play along, but the people pulled through. So in today's video I'm going to be reading 3 of those books and seeing if the reasons marry up to the reality, and also just seeing what I think of the books. So the first response I got was honestly probably my favourite. It was from one of my best friends called Dave, and he said number 43 because I picked that number at random and you lead a very random life, so it feels fitting. Which honestly I loved that reason anyway, but especially when I looked at what the book was. The book is called Reptile Memoirs by Celia Ulstein, translated from Norwegian to English by Alison McCulloch, and it's a book that I'd never heard of. I picked it up randomly in a Waterstones, I believe. It just intrigued me, so I picked it up. And the plot is also very random. It's about a woman whose pet snake tries to eat her, I think. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with this book, and I will check in when I have some thoughts to share. I really like the opening paragraph, so I'm just going to read it to you. That first time, his body was a paradox, like living granite or silken sandpaper. He was hard and soft at the same time, coarse and smooth, heavy and light. The first thing that struck me was how warm he was, as if I had believed his body would be cold both inside and out, as if I hadn't wanted to believe that he was alive. Only later would I learn that he didn't give off any heat of his own, only absorbed what was around him. I feel like that's such a good opening. One chapter in, I like this book.
I'm like flabbergasted by the sentence I just read. I actually read it and then just went, okay, this book is so weird, but I'm really enjoying it.
I wish I'd been filming the bit I just read, because I literally just read that last sentence and then put it down like... A realisation hit that I'd not been... Well, not really a realisation, a reveal that I hadn't been expecting. I had a prediction for something that was going on, and I'm not convinced that that's right anymore, because the 2 plot lines have started to merge now. So I'm starting to... I don't know, things are starting to come together. I'm at page 144. It's quite long, it's 456 pages. It's so weird, but I'm really enjoying it. So. No. This book is wild. I find it so interesting because I'm like, how do people's brains come up with this? But also I love it when people expose the weird thoughts that they have in their brain, because it's just nice to know you're not alone, although I can't say I've had these thoughts. Yeah, like, how and why did someone come up with this story? But also, I know not everyone has a good relationship with their parents or has their parents in their life anymore, but... Oh, I'm stuck. Oh my god. But surely there's people in your life who would want to support you and read your book and acknowledge your work, but who you'd feel a little bit uncomfortable with them reading this. It's so like out there to make this and put it into the world about a woman who, let's just say, really likes her pet snake. Really likes him. Moving on to part 2. Whose brain does this? No, surely not. Promise you won't judge me? Babe, I promise you, this woman cannot be judging anyone else for their decisions. Oh, hell no. This book is so weird that it's making me think weird things. Like, I'm reading things and I'm going, oh, that's what's going to happen next then. Which it might not, but I'm just in that mindset of weird. So I've just finished Reptile Memoirs, and this was a ride, but I enjoyed the ride so much, and I actually thought this was so good. I think you have to go into this open to the fact that it's going to be weird. I didn't know that, but it became apparent pretty early on, and I just went with it. And it was weird. It was weird, and we're following several main characters who are all very flawed and who are all, okay, not all of them, but several of them are quite morally grey. But I think it's a really great exploration into how different experiences can affect different people, and how one piece of trauma from a long time ago can make you make so many questionable decisions throughout the rest of your life. And it's clear to me that this author has a lot of unique thoughts, but also that she's very observant of people's subconscious and people's experiences and decisions and what leads people to do certain things. And it was just so good. I'm confused and surprised by the feelings I have now that I finished this, because it came quite full circle at the end, and it was actually really wholesome at the end. Like, you've spent all this time watching these characters do these crazy things, and then at the end I was like, "Aw, that was lovely." And then I have to think back and I'm like, no, that wasn't lovely. But I'm happy for the characters that things have worked out for them in the end. It's just, it's an interesting one. I think it's also, like, it's very unique. I've never read anything like this, and I think if you are interested in finding a new mystery, because that is the main, in terms of plot points, it's a mystery story, right? If you're interested in reading a mystery that you probably haven't read anything like this before, then I would really recommend this, as long as you're open to the fact that it's weird. There were just so many layers to these characters and the book as a whole, and it all came together so well in the end. I really liked it. I can certainly see why people don't love this, and I can see definite points for criticism. I did think that some of the metaphors used were a bit insensitive, but I don't know if that was done intentionally and it just didn't match what I would have said in that situation, or if it just happened like that. But there's also the point of translation to consider, and that's another such a fantastic skill. Alison McCulloch's done a fantastic job translating this, because it makes sense in English, it makes a lot of sense, and it's beautifully worded and written, but also it's kept a lot of the, I guess, feeling of being Norwegian. Like, for example, quite early on in the book, it's someone's birthday and it says, oh, we sang the birthday song. And when I read that, I thought, why didn't they just say we sang happy birthday? But then it said, and everyone started doing the actions and dance moves as the lyrics instruct. So I was like, oh, if they'd have just said the birthday song, it wouldn't have made sense to me. But obviously in Norwegian, there's actions that go with the birthday song. So then it made sense, and I thought, that's so clever, the way that Alison McCulloch has encaptured that, but also made it completely accessible to the target audience. And I think it's such a fantastic skill. So all round, great job, you guys. I feel that I was still trying to gather my thoughts on that as I was talking, so I did a lot of pausing, and it was probably really annoying to listen to, but I wanted to try and put my thoughts across as accurately as possible. Yeah, I liked this. We were following a lot of different points of view, I think 5 or 6 different POVs, but it never felt confusing. I think because the chapters are so short, you always knew whose mind you were in, and it was drip feeding pieces of information all the time. There was never any points where it felt like a lull in the story. I always felt like I was learning something new that was important to the plot and the mystery and the characters and their backgrounds. So smart. This is debut, but I don't know if the author has since published anything else, because I would be interested to check it out. I think this was originally published in 2020, so she might have published some more since then. And people talk about like weird girl literature, and I don't know if this would fit with that, because I haven't really read many of those books. I mean, I read I'm a Fan by Sheena Patel, which I seem to remember really enjoying, but when I think of like the weird girl books, it tends to be like Atesha Moshfegh and Mona Awad. I haven't read either of those, so I don't know if this fits into groupings with those. But what I would say is, I don't know, just try it out and see what you think. Thanks, Dave, for pushing me to read this book, and you were right, it was random. Next, I'm moving on to a different book. This one was the recommendation of the Bathing Bookworm on Instagram. I believe she picked number 23, and she said that it's just waiting for me to fall in love with its story. So I hope that you are right, and I'm going to get into this now. It's Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng. When I say this, my mind always goes Little Files, or my mouth does, I should say. I don't know why, but also I got this from a charity shop, and it is quite dirty and sticky and gross, but it's signed for Lorraine. For Lorraine, 5th of October 2019, Celeste Ng. Love that. Let's get started. The main character's surname is McCulloch, like the translator of Reptile Memoirs. I love it when things come together like that. Totally haven't took in a single bit of that, and I'm going to start it again. I went to 66 books today and I got loads of books. I'm so excited to start, but I gotta finish this first. I'm not even far through. I've read 63 pages. And it's not bad, but I got 11 books, which may be excessive, but they're all ones that I would have got eventually anyway, so may as well get them when they're cheap, right? Here's my stacks. First stack. Second stack. The one that I am absolutely the most excited for is Scythe. That was like the one book that I wanted to find, and I found it. But I've got a great selection here. So I'm gonna carry on with this now, make some progress. So far I'm enjoying it. I don't really feel I can tell you really what it's about yet, because I don't really think I know yet. We're following a very well-off family and a much less well-off family, and their worlds have kind of collided, and they had no idea how different people's lives could be to their own in terms of finances and everything. That changes for you, and that's kind of where I'm at. I don't really know what else is happening yet, but I am enjoying it.
The decision that one of these characters has just made. Oh Lord!
Wow. That is a good book. So I just finished Little Fires Everywhere, and I don't know if I would say I fell in love with its story as the Bathing Bookworm suggested. However, I did really enjoy this. I enjoyed the storyline, the plot, and I really enjoyed the writing too. I think it was so well put together and well thought through. Our narrator, I think, is it called an omniscient narrator, where they are an external, they're not a character. They're external from all the characters, and they're all knowing, so they know everything that's going on. And I don't feel like I've read a book like that for a while. At least I feel like typically these days when that happens, you move between each character's perspective through different chapters, whereas this book was never in one character's perspective for a set length of time. It was just someone who just knew everything. Oh, it was so smart, and I really liked the way it flitted between the different tenses and the different timelines. So it's pretty much all told in past tense. But there's times where it'll go, a few years earlier, this had happened, and blah, 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 blah. And it would do that for a paragraph and then just slip back into the general past tense that it used for the majority of the book. And it was so smart and so seamless. And then other times it would go, and she decided to do this. She didn't know at the time that it would lead to this, and then weeks from there, this, and blah, 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 and she would do that, and he would do that, and like blah, 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 the world would look like this. And then it might do that for a few pages, and then it would go back to the past tense that it's been using beforehand, and I was like, oh yeah, it's in the past. They're just saying things that are going to come as a result of this without having to get to that point. It was just so expertly put together. I'm really impressed with the writing. So overall, I really enjoyed this. I'm unsure of a rating just yet. I'm going to sit on it for a little bit. I do have the next book to start, which is Black Book by Matteo Scaripour. Now, the person who suggested this book didn't give a reason, so I'm guessing the reason is just vibes. And honestly, I haven't been super feeling this book. and I've been getting a little bit frustrated with making this vlog, but I think I'm going to give it a go and see what I think. I had vague plans to make a second episode of this, but I don't know if I'm going to go through with that, at least not right now, because it's a bit of, it's not pressure, but in some ways it's pressure. Like, to read the time it takes me to read 3 books is quite long, usually, especially if I'm not mood reading them. Well, I don't know if I'd say that was true, but it takes me typically about a week per book, and then to film and edit all the footage, it's a big ask of myself, so I'm going to see how I feel in a little while, but for now, I think I'm going to start Black Book.
Every minute slipping by, even when I close my eyes, ruthless I know.
I think I'm going to DNF this. I just, from the author's note, I wasn't sure, and like in some ways I was like, you know what, go you, because he was talking about how this book is amazing and it's going to change your life as the reader if you're open-minded to what the characters and what the story are, like if you're going to pick up what they're putting down. But, and like he acknowledges the fact that you've spent money on his book, and then he's like, but go buy it for someone else and let them read it too. And I don't know, I kind of respected the confidence, but I also didn't really appreciate the tone that I felt coming across from it, which obviously might not be the way that he meant it. But then the book's actually started and I'm like, the main character has all the same vibes. He thinks he's such a king, and again, good for you, babe. I'm happy for you, but I'm already like sitting there thinking, do I want to carry on with this? And then they'll say like, so there's the like standard text, and then it's got, reader, what you are about to see is what happens when intuition overrides logic, which is the mark of any salesperson worth their salt. People buy based on emotion and justify with reason. Watch. And also the point about salesperson is important, because in the author's note he was saying everyone powerful is a salesperson, and I want to be a salesperson about this book for you. At least that was the way I understood it. Yeah, and I've just got to a bit and he went, blah blah blah, my heart was still beating from our lovemaking session. And then blah 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 blah, they're having a bit of dialogue. Something. I said, distracted by her beautiful brown areolas. I'm just like, I'm not making any sort of connection with this character. So I actually think, although I've only read 15 pages, I just think I'm going to DNF it, which is so sad. But I just don't need to be spending time on books that I'm just not enjoying. So, see, Candice Carty-Williams said, I love this so much, it's effortlessly funny, smart and satisfyingly self-aware. But I don't think it's effortlessly funny. I think he's trying really hard to be funny. Maybe I just don't have the right humour for this book, but I don't know. I really don't like the like reader. I guess it's meant to be funny and just a unique kind of perspective and interactivity as the reader with the book, but I just finding it taking me out of the story. But that's just a personal thing, that's not any criticism of it, that's just the way I've experienced that. But yeah, happy about this flop though. Sad about the book, and also the fact that I've owned this for so many years and not picked it up. But sometimes that's just the way that it is. Now that I finally picked it up, it turns out I don't like it. Yeah. So it's a couple of weeks later, and just to confirm, I did not end up picking back up Black Book, so it was a definite DNF. which is just the way that it goes sometimes, and that's alright. But for the 2 books that I did finish, I ended up giving Reptile Memoirs 4.25 stars and Little Fires Everywhere 4 stars. So for these 2, it was very successful. For this one, it wasn't, but it's removed a book off my TBR that's been there for a really long time. So that's a success in its own way. That's all. See you next time.